Well, the news that everyone's talking about, Stellantis moving their operations south of the border. The prediction that we all knew was going to come true if we continue down the road with this Mark Carney liberal government. That is currently happening. We'll be discussing the ins and outs of the commitments that were made to that company and the commitments that they are now making to the United States of America. And then number 2 is Senator Wen-Pao Wu. We know the guy who's somehow a senator in Canada, somehow still gets taken seriously and continues to advocate for the CCP. The latest episode of that took place, and man, there's this and so much more. Welcome to the Elevate Podcast. I'm your host, Josh. If you're getting value from today's episode, take the time to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us to grow. It helps us to get to new audiences. It helps people see that there is something different than what the mainstream media has to offer. And now, let's get into our first story, shall we? Before we start, congratulations to the Progressive Conservatives who are going to be forming a majority government in Newfoundland. We'll see where this all goes. Again, it's a progressive conservative party. A lot of people are just like, oh, because they're blue, they're doing great. We'll see. We'll see if this is a good thing for Newfoundland or not. We'll see what the decisions are moving forward. However, it is an interesting decision to see Newfoundland make, ending a 10-year term of the Liberal Party in Newfoundland. So we'll see where this goes. It's interesting news. But we move on to our next story. Stellantis moving Jeep Compass production originally slated for Brampton plant to Illinois. It's going on down. Stellantis has announced plans to move production of its Jeep Compass to Illinois after previously pausing production at the Brampton, Ontario plant in February as a result of U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs. The automaker had temporarily paused work on the new electric SUV in the midst of Trump's initial tariff threats at the start of the year. It was originally scheduled to go into production at the plant on Williams Parkway later this year, but in a release on Tuesday, Stellantis confirmed it was investing more than $600 million to reopen its Belvidere assembly plant in Illinois to expand production. With an initial production launch expected in 2027, these actions are anticipated to create around 3,300 new jobs in the U.S., the release said. That money was part of a larger investment of $13 billion announced on Tuesday that Stellantis' CEO said it was the single largest in the company's history and meant to increase its domestic manufacturing footprint. As part of this announcement, we will move one model from Canada to the U.S., Stellantis said in a statement to the CTV News Toronto. We've been in Canada for over 100 years and we are investing. We are adding a third shift the Windsor assembly plant to support increased demand of all versions of the Chrysler Pacifica and the new 6-pack powered Dodge Charger, Scat Pack, and RT models. Canada is very important to us, the statement continued. We have plans for Brampton and will share them upon further discussions with the Canadian government. There we go. So, what we predicted was going to happen is now taking place. We are now seeing jobs moving from Canada down to the United States. They say they try to soften the blow a little bit there. Like, oh, we have plans. Trust us. We got this. We'll figure something out here, but we really need to head to the United States right now because this is a big blow. This one, we're looking at around 3,000 workers in Brampton that are going to be impacted by this and who already have been impacted by this. And those jobs are now being transported over to the United States of America. We expected this to happen. We said that this was going to happen if Carney kept on the track that he was going. We have the Trump tariffs that are going to be what they're going to be. The U.S. swings a pretty big stick on that, and so we just kind of have to live with it. So we should have been trying to figure this thing out from the get-go, but we haven't been. We've been kind of playing defense or in some cases not doing anything at all. And now here we are. We have still all the red tape in the world, all the fees, all the taxes. We still have the carbon tax on the industry. All these things have an impact on the price of steel, this, that, the other, when it comes to the automotive sector. And when you start seeing all the incentives coming from the United States, well, it's kind of hard to fault Stellantis for making this move. You knew it was going to happen. If Carney would have taken Poilievre's ideas and essentially took off all the red tape that's here in Canada, it may not have completely avoided it. However, it would have given us a fighting chance as we build other industries up. But here we are. We're going to act like nothing happened. And it's all, even remember, this happened with the Honda plant earlier this year. They're threatening to move production down to the United States. That news broke from a Japanese outlet. Then Anita Anand hopped on a plane, went and meet with the CEO of Honda Canada. Then all of a sudden news came out, we're not moving down. It's all good. It's all good. We're going to stay here, right here in Canada. Those stories are completely unfounded and untrue. Likely what Anita Anand had promised was more taxpayer funds to keep Honda here. And this is the one thing I found very interesting with the Stellantis plant, is all the money that the government has promised this company over the years. We gave them $15 billion for the battery plant in Windsor for electric vehicles and electrification. And then they also committed another $1 billion for the Brampton plant. Upwards of $16 billion committed to this company. And they still turned around and are investing themselves $13 billion into the United States to create, adding more than 5,000 jobs. There is no amount of subsidy in the world that will move a company to want to stay in your country. No amount of subsidy in the world. You need to create the environment from an economic perspective, from a free market perspective, to entice and keep companies here. But they refuse to do that. They keep pointing at all these other things that are going on in order to distract and deter from what is currently happening at this time. And I think it's a big lesson in economics. It's a big lesson in how things operate. No matter how much money you promise to give somebody, a market that's a little more free, a market that's more friendly to business, will beat you 6 ways to Sunday. We've committed almost $16 billion to this company. $16 billion to this company. And they left. And they're still going to turn around and leave. And investing $13 billion of their own money back into the United States to set things up. That tells you everything you need to know of what is currently happening here in Canada. But we shift gears to Senator Wen Pao Wu, talking about how Canada might be complicit in violations of humanitarian law and genocide. This is him standing up in our Senate talking about this very issue. This is a quick 45-second clip.
We need to mark every day as Holocaust Remembrance Day because we are allowing again today what was to be never again. I can see how difficult it is for many of us to contemplate the idea that the modern state representing a Semitic people who suffered so much at the hands of the Nazis could inflict unspeakable horror on another Semitic people. There are those who say it is anti-Semitic to suggest that the state of Israel could be committing a genocide against Palestinians, but that argument is disingenuous and illogical. It also dishonors the very purpose of Holocaust remembrance and the spirit of never again.
This man has the audacity to stand up in the Senate here in Canada to talk about how Canada might be complicit in genocide. The audacity to say that. Meanwhile, this guy has run cover for China and their Uyghur Muslims. He's very on board with attacking the West and anything that we might be a part, may not be a part of. Either way, aiding a narrative to hurt Canada. He does this all the time. And here he is again, standing up in our Senate, saying, look at the unspeakable horror that Canada might be involved with. The same guy who ran cover for China when the senators were voting on if to label what China was doing to the Uyghur Muslims as genocide. China applauds Canadian senators who voted against genocide motion as people of vision. And again, this is back from 2021. The vote in the Senate follows a similar vote in the House in February, which saw a substantial majority of MPs, including most of the Liberals who participated, vote in favor of labeling China's treatment of the Uyghurs as genocide. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and almost all of his cabinet colleagues were absent for that vote. Foreign Affairs Minister Marc Garneau was the only cabinet minister present. He abstained when it was his turn to vote. During debate on the motion in the Senate, Independent Senators Group leader Senator Wen Pao Wu called the motion an exercise in labeling and invoked Canada's own terrible history with residential schools. Wu urged fellow senators to vote against the motion and encouraged Canada to engage in a dialogue with Beijing as a way forward in addressing China's treatment of Uyghurs. I don't get how this man can continue to be a senator in Canada. I don't know how he's allowed to be a senator here. He's clearly operating and working for a foreign power. Anytime anyone gets a little critical of China, he's always the first one to stand up and say, no, there's nothing going on with China here. Don't look this way. And the idea of trying to deflect of what's happening with the Uyghur Muslims, he points to Canada's residential school history. That's what these people do. They are bad faith actors who continue to separate and divide our country. And he's on tape saying he wants to protect the United Front, which was detailed in this article, which is a wing of the CCP and their arm in foreign countries to make sure that Chinese interests are served. He vowed to protect that group from criticism. Don't worry, I got you guys. This guy needs to be charged and thrown out of his position as senator. And they'll do nothing about it because China is very well liked among the liberal circles. We saw it all taking place. We saw the videos, we saw the photos of them putting these people into concentration camps in China. Nothing to see here. Look at the residential schools. What is China doing to that group of people in that country? Oh, nothing to see here. Look what Israel's doing. And he's unashamed about it. Completely unashamed. It's honestly shocking to me of what he says and what he gets away with. So this behavior, I don't have any tolerance for. I don't even want to give credence to anything he's even talking about. I don't care if there's any merit or no merit to what he's saying. He is not the person to be talking on this, and he should be thrown out as senator because he's clearly not working in the interest of Canadians, and he's only working in the one country's interest, and that is China's. He's on record. He's been caught doing it, and we just continue to allow it to happen. But anyways, enjoy your day. Have yourself a good one. I'm out.